Imagine a world where everybody is connected. Imagine a world where somebody in Japan can do a transaction with somebody in the United States without high banking fees. Imagine a world no longer ruled by greedy corporate banks. There's going to become a time when we think of central banks in the same way we think about calling an operator to talk to a friend on the phone. This weird, annoying entity that came between us and the things we actually wanted. You aren't going to drown in fees anymore. You aren't going to borrow money from a bank. You aren't going to fight a half a dozen middlemen. It'll just be you and your money anywhere on earth. And once this happens, cryptocurrency could very well make the US dollar obsolete. Once people understand how easy this is and get used to it, the demand for legacy money controlled by a government and bank is going to plummet like a rock. Welcome to the world of cryptocurrency. All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our Saturday morning crypto talk. My name is Brandon Ivy from Los Angeles, California. I'm the CEO and founder of Ivy League Crypto Academy, ILCA. And this morning, we're going to be going back to our interview series. We're going to be interviewing a gentleman I have a lot of respect for. So get ready to learn some new information and even take notes. He's going to be dropping some nuggets for you guys, but telling about his life. But go ahead and type in the chat box where you're listening in from. As a disclaimer, I am not a licensed financial advisor giving financial advice. I read the news, give my opinion, share suggestion, and it is up to you to make your own informed, intelligent decision on which direction you want to move into. So out here in California, we are under a freeze alert where we haven't had this alert since 1989. Snow actually hitting the ground. So good morning. I see Miss Marnita Casa from Colorado, Mr. Albert from Connecticut, Janelle from Colorado, Adolph Hayes, Marty from Victoria, Texas. All right, my wife, I miss you already. You know, she's traveling right now, from LaTanya Ivy, Joyce Easley, South Carolina, Carla, good morning. Dagmar from Lake Arrowhead, DJ from Colorado, Linda Wright from Virginia, Carla from St. Louis, Missouri. And we have a lot of people on Facebook. We're streaming on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. So good morning, everybody. All right, so let's jump right on into it. I know this is going to be a long day for some of you. Some of us started our day at 4 a.m. already. So we've got a lot of stuff happening today. But I'm going to introduce a gentleman that is my Morehouse brother, and he actually was one of our panelists on our 5-day challenge earlier this month. In honor of Black History Month, we did a 5-day challenge with Morehouse alumni. And we had Dr. Byron Nelson, our brother Eric Guthrie, brother Professor Oscar Sistrunk, my Morehouse roommate Lamar Slater, and myself that gave you guys information this month. And that was very exciting. Some of you guys are saying that was the best 5-day challenge that we've had after doing this for a year. We do the 5-day challenge once a month. By the way, the next 5-day challenge is not going to happen until the end of March. So we still about a good 5 weeks away until the next 5-day challenge. But I want to introduce a gentleman, brother Eric Guthrie, Esquire. He is a very decorated individual. He's a partner of the Cogent Law Group from Washington, D.C. He's president and CEO of Better Me, Better We, director of training programs, Government Blockchain Association trainer. He's a D.C. Bar accredited course. He's written those. He's blockchain legal specialist. He's the author of Blockchain or Die, Learn to Profit from Cryptocurrencies and the Blockchain, which became an Amazon #1 seller. So without further ado, let me introduce you guys to brother Eric Guthrie. Eric, are you there?
I'm here, brother Ivy. How are you doing? Good morning.
Good morning. Great. Thank you for taking time out of your schedule for being here with us this morning. And I want to just be able to introduce the community to you so that I love crypto education. Anybody that's doing anything in crypto education, especially in our community in honor of Black History Month, and not just for African Americans, but this is something that you're providing for everybody. because everybody can benefit from knowing about this technology, this information. But I want them to get a chance to know about who you are. So before we talk about your book, please let everybody know. Tell us, who is Brother Guthrie? Where do you come from, and how you got to where you are today?
Well, Brother Ivy, I thank you for the opportunity to be on your show. I greatly appreciate it. The Morehouse and HBU support is an awesome network, and helping each other out is the way we can all achieve success. I'm currently in New York, where I'm originally from. I live in the D.C. area, but I'm in New York right now on some family matters, but I didn't want to miss this show. So I was born and raised here, then moved to Atlanta for Morehouse, of course. Did my 4 years there, only 4 years. I didn't do a fifth or a sixth year. And then after that, I went to law school. And I went to Columbia Law School back in New York again. And then I started my career as an attorney. I started out in the government sectors, but worked my way into the corporate ranks and moved up the ranks to a number of Fortune 50 companies. But then I saw some opportunities to do some global work. So I moved to DC and I started working for the Department of State, where I was doing a global training and legal education program. And that allowed me to travel all over the world. Now, layered in with that was when I learned about Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies was during that time frame as well. And I dove head in. I dove head in investment. I dove head in knowledge and becoming an expert in a number of fields. And what I've learned and what I tell everybody is no matter what field you're in, no matter what you do, there's the opportunity for a blockchain career or related career in what you're doing. So because I was an attorney, because I was a trainer, because I was an author, was blockchain, that was my second book, I found three areas to use crypto and blockchain to create a new career for myself. And that's
Oh, wait. But before you go into your career, I want to back up a bit. I want to back up a bit.
sure.
So you moved from New York. You went to school down in Atlanta at Morehouse College. What experience would you say did Morehouse give you, and the way you started to view the world? Did anything change? Especially 30, 40 years later, as we moved from college. Still proud being a Morehouse man. But what was it like being at Morehouse, and how did that kind of shape your future career?
In no uncertain terms, Morehouse was the most transformative experience in my life. When I went to Morehouse, I was not a serious student. I was smart. I had enough grades to get into Morehouse and have no problems. But I didn't have focus. I didn't have a mission. Um, I didn't have what it took to be a successful black man, especially in America. And I didn't have this sense of community and the sense of supporting each other the way we should do every minute of every day. So Morehouse gave me that, not just by the professors, but also by fellow students. I learned as much from them, from upperclassmen and my own classmates as I did from the professors in the college. And then of course there was assembly and orientation, and those were where we had, for those who don't know, once a week we would meet in the chapel, King Chapel, and we had speakers all over the world talk to us. People will pay hundreds, if not thousands of dollars to actually hear these people speak. They spoke to us for free. And that type of exposure, that kind of power and charisma, and that type of knowledge they were imparting upon us, it changes you. And if it doesn't, then you don't belong to Morehouse, but it changes you. And a lot of us took that in and used that to give us the push we need to become better people, better men, better black men, and graduate and go on with our careers. So trust me, I rely on that every day. When there's a day where I'm writing a book and I'm stuck, I just say, okay, I got to bring out the old Morehouse spirit and figure out how to get past this writer's block. Or when I'm doing a training and I'm tired, I got to do one more hour of training. Sometimes I train for an entire week, 8 hours a day. It's exhausting, but I love it. But you get tired, so you rely on the old Morehouse spirit, and it gets you through the rest of that day. So it was transformative. I highly recommend HBCUs for at least for consideration to every black family in the U.S. And does it have to be Morehouse? Although that's of course our bias. But I mean, HBCUs have provided the world, not just the U.S., the world, with so much talent and skill and opportunity. And they're making a huge comeback right now in terms of fundraising and exposure in the media. That it's an excellent time if you have a child to consider them to attend the HBCU.
Now, what made you decide to go into the law field? Because, I tell people that go to Morehouse, we either become doctors, lawyers, preachers, politicians. What made you decide to go into the law field?
So I was actually pre-med at Morehouse. I was gonna
Oh,
go.
wow.
Yeah, I was gonna go to med school, and I couldn't decide. So I actually applied to med school and dental school. My father was a dentist, and long story short, when I got involved in community activism, I was like a number of community groups for, prevention, drug abuse prevention, HIV prevention. Because back then it was soaring. There wasn't any, protease inhibitors and other drugs that kind of kept it under control. It was very rampant, especially in the Black community.
Mm.
And also, I got involved in politics. I became the president of the Young Democrats of Georgia. So I did that for about a year and change. And whenever I talked to folks, they were like, what's your major? I said, oh, I'm bio pre-med. I said, what? You should go to law school. You're amazing at this. So what happened was when the '88 campaign came down, presidential campaign came down to Georgia, they were asking for volunteers, and they all said, you need to have this guy because this guy's well connected in the HBCU community. So there was a senator named Paul Simon, and he picked me up to be a volunteer in his camp. But the Paul Simon campaign didn't last very long, and then the Jesse Jackson campaign picked me up, which was fantastic. So I was just honored to work on his campaign. He did very well in Super Tuesday, but not enough. So his campaign folded after Super Tuesday, and then the Dukakis campaign picked me up. And they actually paid me. The other ones were volunteers. The Dukakis campaign, because they went so far along, they had the money to pay some of their more talented staff. So they paid me to work on their campaign. And all of them said the same thing. You would be a fantastic attorney, so on and so forth. So that kind of just stuck with me for a long time. And for other reasons that were changes in the medical field that I won't bore you with, I decided to take a year off, study for the LSAT, and go to law school. So I was already admitted into med school. I was already admitted and had a scholarship to go to med school, but I hadn't taken the LSAT, and which is the law school aptitude test. So I took that, and then I got into about 8 or 9 law schools, and then decided to go to Columbia Law, which was at the time was like the number 2 or number 3 law school in the U.S. And they have a Morehouse and Spelman support system there, so I was able to see some of my my upperclassmen that came before me. They were already at law school, so we had another Morehouse and Spellhouse group there.
Wow, I didn't know how, our similarities. I was actually the vice president of the Young Democrats back in 97, 98 in Georgia. Professor Hassan Crockett in our poli-sci department had a whole system for us and get a chance to work downtown. And that was during the whole Clinton era. That was my era. But fantastic. So you switched from medical to law. Now, what was your experience being, a young Black man now in the law firm? Did you move up to DC for that?
Well, no, I moved to DC because during the mortgage crisis, the Great Recession, there were a number. I was in Charlotte back then, and the banks were just laying off, and I was working at a bank. So, the banks basically said, "Hey, we're offering packages. You want to take a package?" And it was a pretty good package. So I said, "Oh, I'll take one," because I wanted to try something different, try something. I really wasn't being challenged there. Well, what happened was I had never, ever, ever had an issue getting a job before in my entire life. But during the Great Recession, I found that, I was not able to find something. So I started to create my company, Better Me, Better We, started to conceive my book, my first book being Diversify or Die. And then I got a call from some friends of mine saying, "Hey, listen, they're looking for an attorney to do training. And you'd be great in this job." So I went on USA Jobs. I saw about 4 or 5 jobs that I liked, so I applied for all of them. And while I didn't have a job for a year, which is fine because my package was very good, um, I got 3 callbacks within 2 weeks, and then I had 2 offers within another week. And I chose the Department of State position because I thought it was better fit towards what I wanted to do, globally and with my career. And I was there for 12 years. I
Wow.
spent a lot of time there, and I got to travel the world. I've been to countries that I'd never thought I would go to: Tanzania, Rwanda. My
Wow.
first trip to Africa ever was a transformative experience for me. Um, Cameroon. I've been all over Asia, India, Sri Lanka, Bangkok, Japan, all over South America. So it's been a wonderful experience. And now I'm doing that as well with the Peace Corps, where I am also doing right now. I'm working there right now. And, still traveling. But what happens is when I travel, I bring my blockchain and crypto experience with me. And I'm able to actually share that with, the businesses and folks in the community after hours or on the weekends, and bring that knowledge with me, and educate them on what to do and how to do it.
Now let's get into that. What made you decide to look into the crypto blockchain space and add that to your portfolio and your career?
So long story short, because I can tell some long stories on this one. I met an Uber driver. He was my driver for a trip in about 2015, and he told me about, we were chatting it up. I always talk to the Uber drivers if I'm not on a phone call or something, to kind of, just talk to them. They're people. They have lives. They have experience. They have knowledge to share. And boy, this guy did. He was a gamer. He was telling me about Bitcoin and how he paid a few pennies for it, and he was buying shields and swords and life and everything and weapons for
Now, what year was this?
2015.
2015. Okay.
Yeah. So then it ramped up like to $50, and he was like, wow, I made a lot of money. So he called a tech guy, figured out how to do a wallet and transfer it out and transfer it to his bank account. So he made thousands and thousands of dollars. Well, then fast forward 2 years, 2017, I'm at a retirement luncheon, and one of the young guys there was asking us about crypto and Bitcoin. I said, yeah, I heard about that a few years ago from an Uber driver. He goes, yeah, it's at $3,000 a coin right now. I was like, say what? $3,000 a coin? Like, oh yeah, it's gonna go way higher. Now, in the internet, when the internet came out in 1990, it was transformative. It was a paradigm shift in how we do everything in our lives. For example, being on this show. I mean, you couldn't do this back then because we didn't have internet and Wi-Fi, things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
So I saw blockchain technology and cryptocurrencies as the paradigm shifting technology in our generation. So I spent 3 solid days reading everything I could on cryptos and blockchain. I went back. I believe in going to the source. I went back. I read the Bitcoin white paper like 4 or 5 times, the Ethereum white paper as well, and I kind of built my base from that. I barely ate. I barely slept. Even when I went to work, I was reading all kinds of stuff online. And 3 days later, after I decided to eat and sleep, I said, you know what, I'm in. I'm getting involved in this. I'm gonna figure out how to do it because I missed the 1990 internet paradigm shift, but I was not missing this one. And I decided to not only invest, but also spend the time to research and become involved with some professional groups that are experts, or provide support for blockchain technology experience and education. And that's what I did. I joined a number of groups, and I became one of the senior leaders in the Government Blockchain Association.
Fantastic. Now that led you to next starting to teach, because didn't the law community ask you to start writing courses about it or teaching about it?
So right, so here's what happened. So a part of GBA, I mean, they weren't experienced trainers, but I was. So I redesigned all of their training materials, and the courses just became extremely popular. But back then, 2017, there weren't that many courses out there. Now you could find literally 20,000 courses on Udemy. right? So I mean, it's proliferated the market, but out of all those courses that are out there, only 1% are really good. You're paying for something that is not as a caliber that like you and I have with our course material. So you have to be careful what you buy for, but that's a different conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So then the DC bar asked for a speaker to talk at a luncheon, a continuing education luncheon, and the GBA asked me to speak there because I was the most experienced attorney on the topic. I said, sure, I'll do it. And they were so impressed. They said, hey, listen, we were looking for an attorney to do a CLE course, but we can't find any attorneys that have the level of knowledge that you have. Will you please do it? I said, sure, I'll be honored to do it. So I designed the course, submitted to them, and it's worth 7.5 what's called MCLEs, multi-state continuing learning education credits. Not all people in my class are attorneys. Plenty of folks attend that just want to know the legalities of it because there's a lot happening in this space from a regulatory standpoint and a case law standpoint that if you're a business owner, you should know. And I get a lot of new clients from teaching the course or from traveling all over the U.S. and the world and being on stages and speaking about it. I just talked about it at the Quantum Conference in Miami, and I got 3 new clients out of it. So one right here in New York, actually, which I think he's going to be doing some amazing stuff. So we're going to do it together. And I mean, that's how I got involved. That's how I did it. I volunteered my time. I learned, I researched, and became an expert.
Now, you started also being invited to speak at different blockchain expos and be panelists. So tell all of us about that experience.
Yeah, so if you want to get clients, right? If you want to be an expert in this space, you got to put your name out there. You got to be on stages. You have to be recognized as an expert because people will come to you. Whenever I speak at a conference, afterwards, I'm just swamped with folks that want legal representation or business consulting, business consulting advice. So I started out doing small conferences.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them are just the GBA conferences, which only had about maybe 100 or so people. But then when I published my book, Blockchain or Die, and then when I started to do some podcasts and shows like this, I started getting invitations. Hey, we need someone to speak at this conference and that conference. So, my first book, Diversify or Die, kind of got me in the speaking circuit. But there's plenty of diversity and inclusion speakers and consultants. But there weren't that many blockchain and crypto speakers and consultants. So whereas I wasn't able to command much money in the diversity space because it was just, saturated with speakers and consultants, in the blockchain space, I was, pretty much one of the few people that can speak on this topic. So I began to command an income by being a speaker at these conferences with my expertise. Now, it's a little more challenging now because more folks have jumped in, but also I have more of a track record,
Right.
out there. So I'm speaking at a conference in San Diego in April, and I'm speaking at one in April, the Immutable Conference in Atlanta by one of our Morehouse brothers. And then I speak in another one the week after that in DC, the GBA conference, which has grown huge leaps and bounds compared to what it was, 4 or 5 years ago, but that small little conference we had in Virginia. So, I mean, if you want to make a speaking career out of this, you can become the expert, become knowledgeable, publish something, a blog, an article, a book. If you can, knuckle down and do all the work to create a high quality book, and do the marketing, and you will become a speaker.
Now let's talk about your book. So tell us about how Blockchain or Die came about and the success that it's had.
So thank you, and I will say the most recent, I have five number one best selling time frames in with Blockchain Guy, and the most recent one was thanks to Brother Ivy and the 5-day challenge, because when I talked about it, a number of folks just snapped it up right there off of Amazon, and it went to number 1 the next day, and number 2 in 2 categories. So it it rose to the ranks real high because of Brother Ivy. So I appreciate that, brother. But when I wrote Diversify or Die, which is about diversity and inclusion in the corporate nonprofit educational space, I would do book signings all over the U.S. And
Hmm.
at the end, I was curious because I just really kind of got engaged in the crypto blockchain space because Diversify or Die was published in 2016, and I began to do speaking on the 16-17 timeframe when I was getting involved in cryptos. So I'm speaking to the Black and Brown community, and I asked them at the end, well, how many of you guys know about Bitcoin and Ethereum? And with the average of about 20 or so um, uh, book signings, with about 50 people in each one, it's about 1,000 people, some more than that. Like the CBC, the Congressional Black Caucus one, had way more than that. 5 people, raised their hand in a year. So I was gonna write a sequel to Diversify or Die, but I said, you know what? I think this is where we need to have some more knowledge in our community. So I put aside my sequel idea for Blockchain or Die, and instead of write, Diversify or Die, and started to write Blockchain or Die. So now I'm called the or die guy, and the urgency behind it, the title, the name, the information, has really created a groundswell of support and a community where we connect on Facebook, on Telegram, on LinkedIn, on WhatsApp, and we just share information, especially the Black and Brown community. So I highly encourage all of you to attend conferences, to get involved. The book is on Amazon. When I get a chance, I put it in the chat. And, get information, get knowledge, because you should not invest in anything you do not understand,
Well,
right?
and if you can very briefly explain to everybody from your perspective why should people pay attention to blockchain? What is this going to do for our society?
It's already changing it. It's not what it's going to do, it's already doing, it's already revolutionizing it. And you're seeing it all the time. You just may not realize it. So, what it's going to do, it's going to change. Think about the internet and think about 20 years ago in 2000, in 2000 or in the 1990s. Would you have thought that you would have a phone where you can swipe and get into a stranger's car? Would you be able to have a phone that you swipe and be in a stranger's house? Would you have a phone where you could swipe and then meet somebody for dinner that night in a dating app? Right? Look how much internet has changed our lives. But there's one thing the internet could never do. It couldn't do it, and no matter how they tried, it didn't work. They could not create inherent value in the internet. What does that mean? That means that you can't transact money on the internet without having to use a third party, a bank, a credit union, a credit card, debit card, what have you. Well, Web 3.0 is the internet of value, and it adds value to the internet, right? So now Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, Stellar Lumens, I mean, there's thousands of them right now. That's a whole different conversation. I think there's going to be a consolidation of this, when we get out of this wild, wild west phase. But it's now creating an environment where um, people can transact value without having to go through banks. The
Mhm.
unbanked population in the world is in the billions. And it's that way for a number of reasons. Either they're too far from a bank, they're in a very rural area, they don't have the credentials, the information, the ID to get an account because of the identification and the KYC AML laws. Or in some societies, a woman can't even have an account by herself. She has to have it with her husband, her father, her uncle, her brother, right? Well, that doesn't apply to cryptocurrencies and blockchains. So there's a whole business in parts of the world where women can't own an account in a bank, but they can own a wallet and they can transact crypto. So and there's people always think that crypto is all just trading on exchanges and so on. It's much more than that. I mean, now in certain parts of the world, you have a lot of human trafficking take place. So if
Mhm.
someone's trafficked and they're taken away from their home for 5, 10, 15 years, and somehow they're saved and returned, they don't know who they are anymore or where they come from. So now there's like blockchain technology solutions that they're scanning people's fingerprints and their retina. So if anything happens to them, they're on a system where they can just rescan it again and put them back where they belong. And that's some real powerful stuff, because we didn't have that back in the day, right? They would be lost forever if they could not remember who they were, their name, their family, their village, their community. And then there's a lot of environmental blockchain solutions. We're using wind and solar technologies. So if you're in a rural area, they don't run transmission lines to your area because it's too expensive, too much construction for too small people. But guess what? You can set up wind and solar equipment and have that run through an inverter that creates cryptocurrency for you. And now you have not just power, but you have value to exchange, right? So it's changing everything about our world. The issue is, are the solutions ones that make sense and that will be used by people? And I always say this: every solution has to have two major components: user adoption and user interface. If they don't adopt it, so what? It's not going to be used. If they adopt it, but the interface is too complicated, so what? It's too difficult to use. If the internet was so hard to use, no one would use it. And at first it was too hard to use, but now you got apps, and with a touch of an app, you're on an airline site, you're on a shopping site, you're on Amazon. It's much easier now. So blockchain technology has to get to that point, and it has to be able to be accessible to everyone that wants to use it.
I wanted to ask you about this as an educator. What do you think about this new AI technology coming to blockchain, or the chat GPTs and Microsoft's coming up with Bing? Do you see that being beneficial, harmful? Where do you see that going in the future?
I'm getting that question a lot lately. And I see the vast majority of AI being a benefit to society and to businesses and organizations. Why? Well, because it can simplify things, right? But every advancement in technology has risks. Nothing is pure good, nothing is pure evil, right? So there are some potential negative components, because there are the bad actors that can find a way to use it in a bad way. And that's happening, for example, with even blockchain technology. The hacks, the scams, the bad actors that are truly easy to work a job, they'd rather just code and con and scam and make money that way. That is a negative. And originally, one of the ways that Bitcoin was used on some of the dark websites to transact illegal activity was a negative, but it was much bigger than that, and it's grown way past that. So, for example, I'll give you an example. Quantum computing is huge, right? That's the future. Well, we talk about the fact that blockchains are immutable and so on and so forth, which means that they can't be changed or hacked. That is not necessarily the case. It's more secure, but a quantum computer could hack a blockchain a lot faster than a regular computer can, which is practically impossible for a regular computer to do it in a lifetime. But a quantum computer, maybe. So, we have a lot of technology that's really advancing us, but we have to be able to use it wisely. And as individuals, we have to be knowledgeable about it and know the risk and manage/mitigate those risks. Because sometimes it's not the technology that is dangerous. Also, it's the people that use it to try and deceive, to misrepresent, to fraudulently engage you to take your money, because it's new technology. And people that don't understand it, they will jump in thinking that there's a huge benefit for them. And sometimes, they're taken for their money, which is unfortunate, but it's a reality. Billions and billions of dollars have been stolen because of people that have been bad actors in taking money from hard-working people of the world. And it's a shame, but it's a reality.
Now, I like how you highlighted that it's bad actors, not the space is bad. It's bad actors taking advantage of the space because critics always like to point to, oh, this is happening and act like the whole industry is bad, but it's the actors itself. And speaking of
Yep.
that, especially with you being in DC, one of the big topics right now with the politicians, starting with Elizabeth Warren and other, even Maxine Waters, representative, they're looking for ways to even come down harder on regulation in the United States. And do you have any opinion on that, or where do you see this going? Will it be short term live, long term live, and how will it hurt us or help?
Yeah, so I get this question a lot too, and this is what I say about the regulation side. I mean, if I had that crystal ball, I'd be a trillionaire. Forget even a billion, I'd be a trillionaire. But look, there are a number of forces in play, and you mentioned two of the folks that are more stringent slash heavy on the regulatory side, but there's actually a blockchain caucus that's led by a bipartisan group of senators and House representatives, and they are bringing, I think, a more even keel mindset and communication to our federal legislative body. Now, what's going to come out of it? Um, I'm not sure, but what I will say is this: the White House did something in 2022 that had not been done before. The Biden White House published a white paper about digital assets.
Mm-hmm.
And before, every agency, the SEC, the CFTC, the IRS, the Department of Treasury through FinCEN and OFAC, they were all doing their own thing. And there was a bunch of laws being passed, Stablecoin Act, and a whole bunch of acts being passed that weren't communicating with each other. It wasn't a coordinated effort. So the one thing the Biden White House did, which I applaud greatly, was that they published a white paper that gave all of the agencies that had some type of involvement in the blockchain crypto space, they gave them their marching orders, and they gave them the requirement to do a follow-up a year later. And they've done that. And they published an update on that just recently, like in late 2022. So, we know now what Commerce is doing, which, by the way, Commerce is probably one of the lead agencies in this effort. We know what SEC is tasked to do. We know what CFTC is tasked to do. And if they can get the agencies together and communicate with each other and do the right thing, then perhaps smarter, more effective legislation can be passed that won't, totally tank the industry or tank the cryptos. It'll be smart, it'll be balanced, and it will be effective. Now, I'm oftentimes asked, when I'm on stages, well, when is this going to happen, or how is it going to play out? I truly don't know. But what I do know is, if you have concerns about that, what you should do is you should, speak to an attorney that may have some more knowledge about it, that can talk about it for more than 30 seconds on a radio show and give
Yes.
you advice. Because when I talk to people about, should I follow the SEC, I ask them the questions, so on and so forth, and then, I give them my answer, which is more often times yes. But like an interesting case, I guess I'm going to be doing a class action lawsuit in the blockchain space, in the crypto space. This company filed all that paperwork with the SEC, but it didn't file with a specific state. It was a mining company, and the when the Bitcoin went down, the citizens of that state filed a SEC action against them within state, and they settled and they paid the miners back from that state, but not from other states. So now I got the miners from the other states calling me saying, "Hey, they want the money too. Should we do a class action in our state?" Now this is all groundbreaking stuff, and I'm so happy to be part of it at the early stages. But we don't know all the answers yet, right? So we're working through it. But an attorney that can give you some answers that can mitigate your risk and provide you with some good advice. is the way to go for this kind of advice.
Fantastic. Well, Brother Guthrie, tell us what is next for you. What do you have coming up that you're very excited about, that you're working on? You got another book coming down the line?
I do. Thank you, Brother Ivy. I appreciate it. The second book is A Blockchain or Die, the sequel. I have a title for it that's way better than that, but I'm holding it under wraps.
Oh yeah, you
When you
don't
hear
want
the
anybody to take that
Yeah, when
yet.
you hear the title, you're gonna be like, "Oh my God, I gotta buy this book." So I'm working on it right now. It's about halfway written. I'm in the draft phase right now, and I'm seeing if I can get it done uh, by the summertime.
Hmm.
So that's going to be coming out. So look for the second blockchain to die. I also have an NFT coming out. It's a groundbreaking NFT on diversity and inclusion.
Oh
Uh,
wow.
yeah, there's no NFT like it, and I'm actually coordinating with a Morehouse student that I met at the Atlanta Blockchain Center a few weeks ago, and he's a bright young brother. He's a senior, so he's graduating in May. But he's volunteered to help me, with the NFT. So I'm keeping it in the Morehouse/HBCU community. Hopefully, that NFT will drop in again the spring and summertime. If you want more information about the NFT, visit me at Diversify or Die on Twitter. Again, Diversify or Die on Twitter. If I have time, I'll put it in the chat. And then I'm speaking at a lot of conferences. So if you go on blockchainordie.org, again, blockchainordie.org, you'll see the conferences I'm speaking at. I'll be speaking in, like I said before, um, San Diego, California, in the last week in April. I'll be speaking at Atlanta in the last week in May, and I'll be speaking in DC. The third week in May, and Atlanta is the fourth week in May. So if you're in any of those cities, um, look me up. Come see me. I have a book ready for you to I can sign for you, and then we could do our transaction. So and if you're interested in joining an organization, there's a number of organizations that you can join. One of them is GBA, the Government Blockchain Association, gbaglobal.org, O-R-G, or Google the Atlanta Blockchain Center. Brother Marlon Williams down there, he has put together an amazing structure. They've renovated a building. They have a highly qualified, experts there. They have cohort classes. They're really supportive. So Google the I don't know the website off the top of my head, but if you Google the Atlanta Blockchain Center, you will find it. And tell Brother Marlon that I sent you, and engage with him there. Engage with the people there. It's a very opening and warm environment.
Well, I do love that our universities and colleges are actually getting involved. I saw that Morehouse now is offering a virtual reality course and different crypto and blockchain courses. We've got Professor Oscar Sistrunk. He retired in 2015, but now he's this semester he started teaching some more courses back at Morehouse. And I would love, I will get with you later on, and we can see if we can do something creating like just how Howard University and once a year puts on a blockchain type expo. We can do something with the HBCU. So before we go ahead and dismiss, where can everybody go to get your book, Blockchain or Die?
Amazon.com. Go to Amazon.com. There's the ebook version, and then there's
The hardback version, right?
the soft copy, the soft cover.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's a soft cover. It's not a hardback.
Soft cover.
Um,
Okay.
so the ebook is 99 cents.
99
I
cents.
basically give it away. Now, what I tell people to do is to buy 10,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because you go to Starbucks and you'll buy a coffee, a Venta, Mocha, Macchiato, Frappe, Whippy, Creamy, and you'll spend $10 on that, right? But why not spend $10 on knowledge and give away 9 books to your friends and family?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's a rare opportunity for you to be able to give away the kind of knowledge that can change a life. It can change people's lives, and I've heard a lot that they read my book and it's changed their life because now they didn't know what to do, they didn't know how to do it, but now they have the start. And the second book is going to take them on that next level journey where we discuss NFTs and metaverse.
Mm.
Also, since you mentioned Morehouse and the course there, I'm designing an HBCU based blockchain degree
Wow.
for Barbara Scotia College. So we're starting out with two courses, Blockchain 101 and Blockchain 102. And then we're going to build up from there. I'm putting together a team of professors that will teach, their areas of expertise, marketing, accounting,
Mm.
cybersecurity. So I'm creating a blockchain degree that will hopefully become. It takes really like 3 or 4 years to build a degree because you have the foundation and you have all the upperclassmen courses. So yeah, it's really exciting stuff, and I'm hoping that other HBCUs decide to join me in this groundbreaking effort and not just do a class, do a degree.
Right, right. Well, sounds fantastic. And Brother Guthrie, thank you for taking time out of your schedule for being here. Everybody, you want to go back out, go to Amazon.com, Blockchain or Die. Get that book, get 10 of them, pass them out, keep one for yourself, give 9 of them away. So, Brother Guthrie, do you want any last words you want to share with everybody before I go ahead and dismiss you here? And I'll be closing out.
Yes, so listen, thank you for joining in. Thank you, Brother Ivy, for having me. I greatly appreciate it. I'm looking forward to our collaboration to build a blockchain empire, not for only for us, but for our community. Right? I
Mhm.
mean, that's what we should be doing. And we have, you, myself, we have Marlon, we have Sis Drunk, we have a bunch of other brothers that have expertise in the space, but we got to come together, right?
Yes.
We got to come together. We got to work together. We got to coordinate, and we have the talent, the skills, the knowledge, the drive to do it. And we all have different areas of expertise. I mean, I'm the only lawyer, right? But you
Wow.
have the marketing expertise that you have is fantastic. I wish I was as good as you are in marketing, which is why working together, rises us to whole new levels. And Marlon has, the facility. He has the experience as well. We met on a panel. We met on a panel where we both spoke, and we followed up and we stuck to it. And now we are good friends, right?
Mhm.
So everybody on this call, do something today that's going to take you further in your blockchain journey, whether it's downloading another app like the Brave app to browse the internet where you pay free cryptocurrencies, or whether you go on publishox.com and read about crypto projects, and you, by the way, earn free crypto for that as well. So if you got your pens out, it's publishox.com and Brave browser. You can just Google that. Google the Brave browser as a decentralized browser. Start your journey today. Don't wait because today is already too late. Let's start now, and then engage with Brandon. Engage with me online. You have my Twitter information. Um, just don't be afraid. There's support there for you, and we are here to help you because we want to see everyone succeed. This is a multi-trillion-dollar pie, and there are huge hunks being sliced up, but it's not coming to us. And we need to get in the game to get those hunks because 20 years from now, we'll be fighting over the crumbs left on that pie stand. And I want to have us all get big hunks of that cake so we can have the benefit of blockchain technology now rather than when it's too late in the future.
That's right. That's right. Well, all right. Well, thank you, Brother Guthrie, for taking time out of your schedule for speaking to all of us today. I'd love to invite you back if you've got the time for our next 5-day challenge at the end of March. Please let me know, and
Of
everybody can
course,
hear from you again. And if you've got, I love if you're talking about Marlon. I'd love to bring Marlon on as well. He can
we'll
speak
do it.
as well. So everybody else, thank you. I'll give a clap for Brother Guthrie. Go out and get his book. Brother, enjoy your time with your family up there in New York. Stay safe, and I'll be talking to you again.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.
All right, now everybody, I got a couple of updates for you guys. This is Saturday. This is already our second broadcast that we have done for today. Well, I didn't do it. The first broadcast was at 4 o'clock in the morning with the Starvara update. Now, it was not what I thought it was going to be. I see that they are actually breaking it up into pieces. So they did a rank advancement today that you can go back and see in in your back office. Also, those of you that's part of WCL, they have revamped their travel program. They're doing a call at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific, so that you can learn more about the updates on the travel program. I will highly recommend, if you're part of that WCL community, to be there. Tomorrow night, now I won't be doing any broadcasts later tonight. I got an organization to go on with my dad tonight. Tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, I will be doing a follow-up call for the Starvara Metaverse project, and I will create the link for that today. And then we'll be back on Monday morning for our Crypto Inner Circle. We'll take a look at what the market is doing, where the charts are going, and start off a brand new week as we get ready for March. Can you imagine that we are already in March this year? So thank you guys for being here. Go out, support Brother Guthrie and his book, and I will see you all later on. Bitcoin Brandon out. Take care. Bye-bye.